When I started playing Halo back in 2002, I never thought it would be such a big part of my life. I remember my first time playing Halo in my brother's room, constantly dying because I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was 6 years old, so maybe I could give myself a break? And I guess I wanted to feel that nostalgia of constantly dying, because I decided to try and beat Halo Combat Evolved on Legendary for the first time by myself. Now, I've beaten all the Halos on Legendary already, with the exception of Infinite, but it was always with a buddy or my brothers, so I figured this time I'd challenge myself. So I booted up the Master Chief Collection, launched Halo CE. Time to get to work. The Pillar of Autumn was easy enough, however, I forgot I turned on the Thunderstorm and Grunt Funeral Skull. Getting past the cafeteria was a little rough because I only had UNSC weapons. You see, the Grunt Funeral Skull makes it to where when you kill a grunt, they explode like a plasma grenade. Sounds useful, right? Well, it is, but it also makes it to where you can't pick up a dead grunt's plasma pistol either. It gets absolutely vaporized in the blast, making the elites a bit tough to take down early on. Once I got past the cafeteria, I really didn't have any trouble. I made use of the plasma grenades and the trusty hand cannon that Captain Keyes gave me. Unloaded, I might add. It wasn't until right after the landing area that I had any trouble. And this is because I forgot to pick up a health pack before loading this area. I tried backtracking to pick one up, only to find that the damn door was locked. Yikes. After stumbling my way through this area and the destroyed sections of the ship, I finally made my way to the life pod, where I just casually throw a Marine onto it and beeline our asses to the ring. Ah yes, Halo. So beautiful, so majestic. So many dead Marines. And I'm not just talking about these ones. As usual, I started this mission by picking up some ammo and grenades off my fallen comrades, and getting a nice view of where we just landed. I proceeded to tactically retreat to the other side of the river because I didn't want to die this early in the mission. Which didn't matter because I died shortly after anyway. Stupid elites. I got to the first rescue area and it started pretty well. I got through the first 3 dropships without dying and I was feeling pretty proud of myself. But it didn't take too long for the pride to be stripped away because when the Covenant started dropping in behind us, they kept destroying me. And when it was all said and done, I had 1 Marine left, so I just went ahead and relieved him of his survivor's guilt early. I cleared the rest of the enemies and I finally got the Warthog. I went through the totally natural cave, fixed the bridge, and made my way to try and save some Marines. Now I started with the cliff area. After about 15 minutes of missed plasma shots and deaths, my rescue mission was going great. I managed to save a whopping 1 Marine. The Marines in the next area were mysteriously teleported to a time when they weren't alive no more. And the group after that just knew I happened to be the culprit of said mystery. So I had to send the Marines to Valhalla and finish off the Covenant before I left. I thought this mission was gonna be a breeze. Boy, was I fucking wrong. The first few sections were easy enough, but when I got to the gravity lift, it was a nightmare. Even with the Thunderstorm Skull turned off, it was a chore. I died so many times that I was so close to owing rent at the last checkpoint. Eventually I finally got to the Hunters, and the leftover sniper rounds I had made short work of them. The loading bay was also a massacre. With the random enemy spawns, it was down to pure dumb luck to get past this area. The Master Chief is said to be lucky, so I tried asking him for some of his luck. But I was met with silence and death. After spending half an hour looking at the Chief's ass, I finally got a checkpoint and got my shit wrecked by 2 Hunters, which were quickly taken down after the next respawn. Thanks, sniper. After that, the rest of the mission went pretty smoothly. I only died a couple more times, and the escort mission for Captain Keyes was easier than I thought it would be. The bridge was really the only hard area, but that was just because the captain kept running at the enemy and getting blown up. Nonetheless, we made it to the hangar and finished the mission. This is the mission people think of when they hear Halo. I mean, you get to storm a beach full of Covenant. It's a badass feeling. That is, of course, if you are on any difficulty other than Legendary. I started the storm the beach too. Realizing this was a bad idea, I backed off a bit and started just picking off Covenant from afar. And after it was done, I had 2 Marine allies left. Yikes. I'm not good at saving Marines. Turns out these Marines were close to Valhalla too, so you can imagine how helpful they were. After a short drive, a death, and a firefight, I get locked out of the cartographer facility. So now I have to go unlock the doors. Joy. Once I made it to the path to the center of the island, I saw that it was guarded by every jackal on the ring. After handling them and introducing several hunters to the business end of a pistol, I finally reached the next facility and shut off the security. While trying to leave, Camoed Elites decided to make their presence known by trying to off me, so I returned the favor by expediting their trip to Covenant Hell. I took a quick shortcut down to the beach, got a rocket launcher, a warthog, and then drove to the cartographer facility, where naturally, 2 more hunters awaited, so naturally, the pistol handled it. I finally made my way past the locked door, but not before I tried shoving a warthog into the hallway for funsies. You know, like any other self-respecting Halo player. After clearing a few enemies and taking a questionable shortcut off a cliff, I activated the cartographer. And then when my attempt to blast myself to the top of the building with a rocket launcher failed, I decided to climb up the old-fashioned way. And you know, the Covenant must really love their jackals, because that's basically what I fought the whole way up. Have I said how much I hated jackals during this run? Because by this point, most of my deaths can be traced back to one of 3 things. Elites, my own stupidity, or jackals. Usually it's jackals. I did struggle a bit with the second to last room because the last hunter caught me off guard as he was just standing there, menacingly. Once I killed him and went back up, I died a couple more times. To what, you may ask? To the jackals. I clear the last room, make the Zealot my property, and proceed to panic slightly because I remembered that I parked my warthog in the doorway. It turns out that getting in and just backing up fixed the problem. I then walk up the ramp, sent some invisible elites to hell, and got the hell out of there myself. This mission went pretty smoothly, aside from 2 areas, but I'll get to that shortly. What I really want to talk about is the Scorpion. Tank beats everything, right? Well, that would be true if the damn thing fired where you aimed it. When I was a kid, I thought the tank was the coolest thing ever. However, my memory failed to store the accuracy of this thing as absolute garbage. I'd be aiming at a target, fire, and then completely miss and hit the tree behind him. I'd fire again and hit the boulder beside him. Like, what's the point of a tank that's as accurate as a blind person throwing a rock? Not to mention the chain gun. It's even worse. When I went to use it, it felt like the reticle was just a suggestion. I'd fire at an elite, and he'd get hit maybe once out of like 5 seconds. In the end, I just have to hope and pray that the cannon would hit what I was aiming at. After a lot of shooting and praying, above ground and below, I entered my first challenge. I had to ditch the Scorpion and climb out of a cliff. There are a lot of banshees and ghosts in this section, so naturally I thought I'd take them out first. I thought with the rocket launcher that this would be pretty easy. I learned 2 things. 1. Don't be right in front of banshees when you blow them up. 2. Make sure you're completely out of cover before firing rockets. If not,
gonna have a bad time.
I had to learn this so many times. Now for the next set of rooms and bridges, I really didn't have any trouble. That is, until I hit the control center chasm. When I was a kid, I was always taught to go for the Banshee on the bridge. Well, I tried. And after dying so much that the grunts started to feel bad, I just decided to clear the bridge and jump onto the control center. Side note, after playing this game for 23 years, I genuinely did not know that there was a legitimate way to get to the control room by crossing the bridge. Nor did I know that there were hunters at the other end. I always thought you were supposed to get the Banshee. Mind blown. A quick firefight and a locked door later, I finally made it to the control room. I always hated this swamp. It wasn't until I hit around age 10 that I finally beat this level without having to hand the controller to my brother. Everything from the lighting, to the swamp, to the lack of elites scared the piss out of me. And it did in this run too. But now it's on legendary, and I gotta be extra careful not to get my shit wrecked and not to get scared like a little bitch in the process. Making it past the jackals, grunts, and crazy marine wasn't too hard, but we all know what came next. After psyching myself up during the Jenkins POV cutscene, it was time to fight the flood. And honestly, it was way easier than I thought I was going to be. The first few rooms had me on edge, but once I got the shotgun, the flood went down pretty easy. Sure, I may have gotten lost once or twice, but I'm gonna blame that on the fact that I haven't played this game in a while, and not because I always get lost on this level. After clearing the flood from the facility, I finally made it to the elevator up and found some Marines. You know how this is gonna go. The Marines get utterly messed up and I get kidnapped by 343 Guilty Spark. And surprisingly, I only died once on this level. Everyone's favorite level. This level wasn't necessarily hard, it's just really long, with a fuck ton of flood. I started this level thinking the flood are going to be easy due to the last level, but what I failed to realize is that what they lack in durability, they make up for in numbers tenfold. Then I got to the real challenge of this level. It's repetitive. So repetitive. I got turned around so much that the monitor probably considered giving me directions a few times. After getting lost while fighting countless flood, I finally made it to an elevator, and then I looked over at the clock. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I was on the first level for 30 goddamn minutes. This was gonna take a while, so I locked in. Hallway after hallway, flood after flood, elevator after elevator, holdout after holdout. I fired that shotgun so many times that I'm pretty sure it had a cigarette afterwards. We finally reached the 4th floor in the final run to the index. Now I didn't realize that this was an infinite flood spawn, so I tried for a while to just clear the flood out. After a while, I just said fuck it and ran to the index and ended the mission. Yes, reverse assault on the control room. All jokes aside, this mission was solid. Sure, I had the occasional rocket flood wreck my shit, but overall this mission was mostly pretty fun. Mostly. Once I got to the underground bridge section, in true Halo fashion, I shoved a ghost through the broken door. And this was so I could haul ass to the Banshee at the end of the next canyon. Apparently, you can go too fast past this area and soft lock the rest of the mission. Not knowing this, I sped ahead and got the 2 checkpoints in the canyon before I realized that none of the enemies, and most importantly, the Banshees hadn't loaded in. So I had to go back to the underground bridge section to trigger the flood spawn and then progress. More slowly this time. I actually made it to the Banshees at the end, but the Covenant were waiting. So I died. Oh, and remember the 2 checkpoints I got earlier? Yeah, those checkpoints were supposed to be used for these areas if they were loaded incorrectly. But since I didn't load them correctly, I got sent back to before I triggered the flood spawn. So if I died again, I'd be sent back here to do it all over. So naturally, I died like 4 more times before getting lucky, stealing a Banshee and booking it to the last pulse generator. Perhaps the most chaotic level in the game. So in this mission we go back to the Truth and Reconciliation, where the Flood and the Covenant are occupying the same hallways, turning each encounter into what is essentially an interspecies bar fight. Eventually I had to yeet myself out of the ship into a pool of glowing liquid, just to find out that the bar fight had expanded to the outside too. And I'll tell ya, I was so happy not to be the main focus for a second, and you bet your sweet ass that I took full advantage of that. For most of the areas I walked into, I just sat back, cracked a proverbial beer, and waited for the Covenant and the Flood to thin each other out. And then I just took out the survivors and moved on. After skirting my way around all the encounters outside the ship, I found myself in a familiar space with a familiar mission of rescuing Captain Keyes. I did die a few times, but it was surprisingly easy to get to the captain. Unfortunately, I ended up punching his skull in to rip out his neural implants. Brutal. After that, it was only a matter of letting the Flood and Covenant fight, and then using the carrier forms as makeshift grenades to get out of the bridge. I made my way to the hangar bay, jumped from the 3rd and 2nd levels, jacked a Banshee, and hauled ass to the Pillar of Autumn. The epic finale. I was so pumped and ready to go. Getting to the bridge was a breeze because I mainly just ran past all the enemies like a bitch and only fought when I needed to. Honestly, the whole first half of this mission went by like a breeze, really. I'm not sure, but I think my inner child woke up and took over because I was doing stuff that actually worked. I was taking shortcuts, stopping flood spawns early, and doing grenade jumps like a pro. Hell, I even remembered that I could take out 2 of the fusion reactor vents at the same time if I timed it right. I executed it flawlessly, twice. I ran to the elevator, took out the Covenant, and took the ride to the top. Time for the famous Warthog run. Let's go, damn it. Alright, 2nd time, fuck. 3rd time's a chop, shit. Anyway, let's send it. While driving the 3-kilometer long run on a 1-kilometer long ship, a thought hit me. The Warthog run holds a special place in my heart because, as a kid, it's the first time I ever beat a game, ever. And now it's even more special because this will be the first time I beat Halo on Legendary by myself. Spoiler alert. I finally made it to the end of the Warthog run and hauled ass to the Longsword, where, in all, I gazed upon my accomplishment. When I decided to do this, I didn't do it for points or anything like that. I really just wanted to see if I can actually beat this game on my own. I didn't really count on how much it would reinvigorate my love for Halo. It brought back so many childhood memories that it made me fall in love with gaming in general again. And with Halo Campaign Evolved coming out soon, I'm really excited to see what's next for Halo. Will I attempt Halo 2 Legendary soon? I might, but I know that's going to be a hell of a struggle considering it took me almost 12 hours to finish this game. And Halo 2 is notorious for being the hardest in the series. And with that, my first solo Legendary Halo CE run comes to an end. Thank you for watching.